Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell and to check out the join membership option.
Welcome guys, so in today's video I'll be showing you how to create ASTA'S anti-magic sword from the Black Clover anime series. So in order to get started, I thought about creating the grimoire first of all. So the book, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but you know, that magic book which is levitating next to Asta, and Asta's sword of course. So to do all of these things, opened up Blender. So if you don't know what this is, you can like create models inside of it. You can also animate with it. You can do a lot of things with Blender, but we just want to build the magic book and Asta sword, of course. So I will be enabling this option right here. So this is a plugin I've installed, so you guys can see my inputs in the left lower corner. Alright, so to get started, let's create the book first. We'll be creating the opened and the closed book, and I'm not going to explain you the controls of Blender. So this is the book. Let's create the clover. I will destroy one half right here, so I can use this mirror plugin, which applies the change of this side to this side, so it makes modeling a lot more easier. I've just created one with 6 leaves, but this was not the task. I want to create one with 5 leaves. Therefore, alright, so let's create the middle. So this is our clover and this is our book. Now let's check for faces. So when everything's blue, everything's alright. Now sometimes we have the case that something is red, and if something is red, then you select the affected parts, then go to Alt and N, press Alt and N, then click on flip, and then it should turn blue, and blue means that the faces are orientated correctly, so there's like no gap in between, and everything looks like as it should. Alright guys, so now we disable this, of course. So let's apply some modifiers to make it look a little bit more cooler. Alright, now this is our closed book, as I said. Let's export our Clover first. So delete the book, go to export, then select the folder or the place where you want to leave your creations, and then do so. Then click on export object. So we've done this for this Clover right here. Now redo everything with the book. And still, you can actually delete this Clover. Now let's create a open book. Now export this signal by signal as well. So create, delete one part, then export this, then undo everything, delete the other part, and export this one as well. Now, let's continue with ASTA'S anti-magic sword. Alright guys, so this is the sword I have built. Now let's check for the faces. So as you can see, this blade right here is red. Now in order to fix it, you will just select the blade. Select this, of course. Then Alt and N and flip. This is how you turn it back to blue. Now, I will be applying this modifier to it. So, export this as well. And then, let's get back to ROBLOX Studio. Alright guys, so now back in ROBLOX Studio, all you need to do is, you need to create some mesh parts, because we want to import our creations from Blender to ROBLOX Studio, and this only works with mesh parts, in this case of course. So, we will need, like, 1, 2, 5 mesh parts, I guess. So this is for the clover, this is for the sword, and the other mesh parts are for the book. So closed book, this is the inner of the open book. Yeah, so let's start with the sword first. Alright, there we go. So this is our sword. It actually looks pretty cool, I think. So this is the sword. Let's add this clover right here. This is our clover. Well, it does not look that good, but it's better than nothing, I guess. So let's import the closed book. So this is the book. Now, last but not least, these 2 parts. So let's give them color, material, and that should do. I'm going to be making this a bit shorter. Right now, don't forget to belt this, of course. So the part 0 is always the part on which the stuff is being attached to. So the part 1 is the part which attaches to something. And also disable collision and make sure that it is not anchored. Now put everything inside of, well, except for the clover, put everything inside of the replicated storage. Now create a script inside of the starter pack. Call this anti-magic. First of all, let's refer to the player. Then create a remote event and a script inside. Call the remote event anti-magic remote. Call this anti-magic server. So, first of all, we want the closed book to be attached to the player's hip as long as the sword is not being used, or the book or the grimoire is not being used. Now, in order to do so, let's do the following. Let's refer to the character. So what I planned to do is that once the sword is equipped, a value will be created inside of the character which indicates that the sword is equipped. Now, in order to check whether the closed book will be attached to the player's hip or not, we will check for that value. And that's exactly what I wanted to do here. So we check whether a child was added. So something inside of the character was added. That can be a part, that can be anything else. Then we want to call this function, but we also want to call this function from the beginning, so without anything to happen. And what we want to do instead of this function is we want to check whether we have that value inside of our character, means the sword is equipped. Oh no, if isn't sort of the character. So not anti-magic sword, then the closed book should be attached to the player's hip. Now let's also check this for the case that the sword is being removed. Remote. Wait for child. Anti-magic remote. Remote. Attach closed book. Else, in this case, means if the anti-magic sword value is there, means the sword is equipped. Then we want to remove the closed book, therefore remove closed book. So this is our script or our code to make the closed book attached to the player's hip. Instead of this local script, of course. Now we want to do this with the server script as well. So player and values. So this thing right here happens once this happens, and this is the fire servering of our remote event right here. So this goes to this, passes to the player automatically, so we don't have to add the player inside of here. This is not necessary, this is not needed, but we will need to do this, which is this, in order to tell the script what to do. So we check whether the task is to the closed book. Let's refer to a character here as well. Now, to attach the closed book, all we have to do is we will need to clone the book, of course. So gain get service replicated storage, wait for child, closed book. So we refer to our book, then we clone it. Now we put it inside of the character. Now we need to build it, of course. Create a build instead of the book. Then we attach it to the lower torso of our player. And make our book attach. We probably need to adjust the position or a C-frame as well. Well, I'm not sure. Let's put it somewhere just to see where it lands. Attempt to index, no, try that. Let me refer to the character in another way. So instead of directly picking up the character from the player, let's just try to do it over the workspace. Attempt to call it instance value. Oh, bruh. So, yeah, remove these brackets, of course. Now there are no errors, but also no book. There's also no book. Oh, anti-magic. Oh, the issue is that we didn't actually refer to the remote events instead of the script. So instead of this, we only had the part with script, wait for child, but there is no remote event inside. The remote event is actually script, parent, remote event. And we forgot to add this parent to it. So now it should work. Alright, so there's our book. That's actually very big. We should scale it down first of all. So this size is perfect, I guess. Now there was also something else. As you guys just saw, there seem to be a lot of books inside of one book. So this thing right here, so it didn't stop file serving this and caused lag, as you guys can see. So if I want to check the character now, there would be a lot of books inside. Yeah, and in order to stop this, we should do the following. So if not character find first child, anti-magic sword, and not character find first child, closed book. So we're actually checking for the sword and for our book. So if there is also no book inside of our character already, then we're allowed to create one. And this now should stop all of the other books. So yeah, as you guys can see, there's no lag. Everything works fine. Let's play around with the C frame, so it actually looks quite good. Yeah, seems better than before. Of course, change this to 1. And let's also add some kind of rotation to it. Let's rotate it by, I don't know, 20 degrees. Now, this is perfect. This is good. Right, so this is how we attach the book. We also need to script the part where the book is being removed. So remove closed book. Alright, so in order to do this, we will need to check for our book. So character, and plus child, closed book. Then we want to remove this. Now this is the way how you remove this book. Now, if you want to change the name of this thing right here, don't forget to apply these changes to this script as well. So don't forget to change this. Don't forget that. And this, of course. Don't forget it, because otherwise your script will cause errors or will not find the book you actually want to look for. Now let's get to our actual topic now, to our anti-magic sword. Now in order to do this, I would like to add the user input service, which is responsible for detecting the user's inputs. So for example, if a player uses the mouse button, or if a player presses a certain key, you can actually look for that key or for that mouse button by using this service. So begin function, our input is our first argument, and the GPE, the game processed event. So if There's no GPE means the input was not done while using a GUI or while using chat. Then we can proceed and we can actually look for the input we want to look for. So let's put the key on which the anti-magic sword should be equipped to Q. So if the player has pressed the Q key, because that matters in this case, then we want the anti-magic sword to be equipped or also de-equipped or unequipped. Now we should create another two values. First value is responsible for the cooldown, and the other value is responsible for the sword and indicates whether the sword is equipped or not equipped and should be equipped or not equipped. So let's call this, let's just call this sword. So the sword by default is unequipped. If sword is false, means unequipped, then we want to equip it. And if, or we can also write else. So else in this case means if the sword is equipped, means sword is equals true, then we want the sword to be false, therefore unequipped. Also remote fire everything, fire server everything, call this sword and put this inside. Now let's add some cooldown to it. Enabled equals false means as long as this is false, this can happen, and this is the unequipping or equipping the sword. Now, when we turn it to true, then the check here will fail. So once we press Q, this is still set to false. Therefore, it can pass this check. Then it gets turned on to true and passes the code right here. And then when the Q key is pressed another time, it is not able to pass this check again because enabled is still set to true. Therefore, we want to set it to false after a certain amount of time, means our cooldown time. And I'm going to be using 1 second. For those purposes, you can change it to whatever you want. This is our cooldown time, so don't forget that. Now, this is on how to equip or de-equip or unequip our sword. Now we should also create some kind of sword attacks, and I'm just gonna create some sword slashes or some sword swinging. Therefore, check for user input. I think it was user input type, but I'm not sure. User input type. Yeah, it was user input type. So if our left mouse button was clicked for attacking, of course, and our sword is equipped and enabled is set to false, then we can continue. We'll turn this to true. Now also don't forget to add this cooldown time and to turn the value false again. Now also don't forget to fire over the remote event sword slash. And yes, so that's it with the local script, I guess. So this local script should work fine now. Now let's move on with the sword. So I'll zip value sword, then So what we're doing here is we're looking for this. So we check whether when file servering that the first argument is this thing, and if that's the case, then we will check for this. So at here I value 2. If value 2 is true, then, and else would be if this value is false. So true means equip sword, and this means unequip sword. Now in order to do this, we clone the open book and place it in front of the player. So let's do this first of all. Put it inside of the character. Then we weld it to our player. What is this? um, let's do this. Let's if alright, so this should do. Hmm. Oh, so that was the reason. Now it works. Well, this doesn't matter, so let's just continue. Now let's clone the sword instead of it. So sword. So what we want to do is we want the sword first of all to get pulled out of the book and then be attached to the player's hand. So in order to do this, we will clone the sword first of all. Then we will meld it onto our book. Alright, so I'm going to be using a tween in order to pull it to make that pull effect, so it like gets pulled out of the book and then goes into the player's hand. So to do this, I'm going to be using this tween right here. Right, so let's check if this works. Let's hope so. Let's make the sword a bit more smaller. No, this is good. So after this world has been played, after this tween has been played, we will destroy this weld, which welds the sword onto our book, and then we will weld the sword onto our right hand. So we can use it for attacking later. I'm going to like tween the no. I want to I'm going to be destroying this book right here, but in order to do so, I will tween how it like disappears and then destroy it. So right now, so the open book should now totally disappear before being destroyed. Yeah, exactly. So okay, now so this book should also disappear, as you can see. So I think that we have to turn this book, because it was like it was not turned properly. The clover was on the wrong side because here now it works properly. All right, now to our sword. All right. All right. So this is perfect, I guess. Well, still could increase this to 90. All right. Now, so this is the perfect angle. So we should work with this. All right. So this looks kind of fine. Okay. So this is the perfect position for this sword. Now, let's continue with the sword slash. So in order to do this, we want to animate this dummy right here. So place the sword the same way as I do, and then also weld it to the dummy's right hand. Right, so it should be like this, and then go to your plugins, go to your animation editor, and start editing. Okay, so I'm going to be trying out this animation right here. So I'm gonna set the animation priority to movement and then export it. This animation might as well not work, but I just want to check it out to see if it works. So, oh, I still have to script the part where the sword is being unequipped. Totally forgot that. So let's do it. Unequipping. So what we need to do is we first of all need to check for this value right here. So anti-magic sword. So if it is there, then we will just delete it. But the other thing is that we're going to check for the sword, of course. So if it is there, then we'll delete it as well. We might as well just put these in different places. And let's check. So we've got a sword, and we've put a sword back. Got it, we've put it back. We've got it, we've put it back. Got it, we've put it back. Alright guys, so that's on how to create the sword. Now I'm just gonna implement some basic slashing. So else of value sword slash, then yeah, so it's this sword slash animation instance.new animation character animation name sword slash. What I'm basically doing right now is I'm creating the animation for the sword slashing. So now instead of this, I'm adding this animation ID right here. Now we will need to load it. And then we will play this, of course. So let's see if it works. Let's hope so. Alright, so it seems to work. Therefore, I'm just gonna check for people whom I hit and deal them some damage. So if this sword was touched or hit, or if I have hit someone, then if hit current first child humanoid and hit parent name is not our player name. So what I'm basically doing here is I'm checking whether the thing we've hit has a humanoid, means can be damaged, and is not our player. Then I'm gonna do the same method as I'm always doing. So if you've seen my previous videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be looking for a hit folder. In case if this folder does not exist, I'm gonna create one, and I'm looking for a value which has the same name as our player instead of that folder. So what this value does is, if it is there, then I won't deal damage to that player, and if it is not there, then I will deal damage and create a new one. So every time you hit someone, you check for that value, and if it is there, you won't deal damage till it's gone. And if it is not there, then you will create one and then deal damage. So this is just to prevent spam damage. So you actually need to wait a certain amount of time in between hitting somebody, or the same player in this case. Alright. Now let's first of all look for that folder. So if hit parent and first child, hit folder, and not hit parent, basically this, we are referring to the folder, and then the value which carries our name. So if there's a hit folder and it does not contain our value, then we will create our value. So this is important. This is the time in between or in which the player can attack a specific player. So in this case I've set it to 2 seconds, but you can also increase it or lower it as you want to. So this is to the case, so this is it with the case when the folder exists, the value does not exist. Now let's do the case when there's no folder. So as of not, then we easily create one. Instance new folder inside of the hit parents character. So make sure that there is hit parent and not character. And then we just copy this. Just proceed with this. So also let's clean this up. Alright, now so alright, so this should work now. This should work fine now. Let's hope so. So I'm getting my sword and I'm attacking the player right here, and as you can see I can only damage the player every 2 seconds to prevent spam damage. Alright guys, so if you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all of your friends, and don't forget to check out the join member option and the Discord server in the description. Alright guys, now take care and see you in the next video.